Today we're going to teach you about great American sex. Get up, said. I stood up in the same painful position as I had every day for about 70 days. I would rather follow the orders and reduce the pain that would be caused when the guards come to play. The guards used every contact opportunity to beat the hell out of the detainee. Detainee tried to resist was the gospel truth they came up with, and guess who was going to be believed? You're very smart, because if you don't stand up, it's going to be ugly. As soon as I stood up, the two took off their blouses and started to talk all kinds of dirty stuff you can imagine, which I minded less. What hurt me most was them forcing me to take part in a sexual threesome in the most degrading manner. What many don't realize is that men get hurt the same as women if they're forced to have sex, maybe more due to the traditional position of the man. Both stuck on me. Literally, one on the front and the other, older, stuck on my back, rubbing, whole body on mine. At the same time, they were talking dirty to me and playing with my sexual parts. I'm saving you here from quoting the disgusting and degrading talk I had to listen to from noon or before until 10 p.m. when they turned me over to the new character you'll soon meet. To be fair and honest, the didn't deprive me from my clothes at any time. Everything happened with my uniform on. The senior was watching everything. I kept praying all the time. Stop the fuck praying. You're having sex with American... and you're praying? What a hypocrite you are, said, angrily entering the room. I refused to stop speaking my prayers, and after that I was forbidden to perform my ritual prayers for about 1 year to come. I also was forbidden to fast during the sacred month of Ramadan, October 2003, and fed by force. During this session, I also refused to eat or to drink, although they offered me water every once in a while. We must give you food and water. If you don't eat, it's fine. They also offered me the nastiest MRE they had in the camp. We detainees knew that, gathered intels about what food a detainee likes or dislikes, when he prays, and many other things that are just ridiculous. I was just wishing to pass out so I didn't have to suffer, and that was really the main reason for my hunger strike. I knew people like these don't get impressed by hunger strikes. Of course, they didn't want me to die, but they understand there are many steps before one dies. You're not going to die. We're going to feed you up your ass, said. I've never felt as violated in myself as I had since the DOD team started to torture me, to get me to admit to things I haven't done. You, dear reader, could never understand the extent of the physical and much more the psychological pain people in my situation suffered, no matter how hard you tried to put yourself in another's shoes. Had I done what they accused me of, I would have relieved myself on day one. But the problem is that you cannot just admit to something you haven't done. You need to deliver the details, which you can't when you haven't done anything. It's not just, yes, I did. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to make up a complete story that makes sense to the dumbest dummies. One of the hardest things to do is to tell an untruthful story and maintain it, and that is exactly where I was stuck. Of course, I didn't want to involve myself in devastating crimes I hadn't done, especially under the present circumstances, where the US government was jumping on every Muslim and trying to pin any crime on him. We're going to do this with you every single day, day in, day out, unless you speak about and admit to your crimes, said. You have to provide us a smoking gun about another friend of yours. Something like that would really help you, said in a later session. Why should you take all of this if you can stop it? I decided to remain silent during torture and to speak whenever they relieved me. I realized that even asking my interrogators politely to use the bathroom, which was a dead basic right of mine, I gave my interrogators some kind of control they don't deserve. I knew it was not just about asking for bathroom. It was more about humiliating me and getting me to tell them what they wanted to hear. Ultimately, an interrogator is interested in gathering intels, and typically the end justifies the means in that regard. And that was another reason why I refused both to drink and to eat, so I didn't have to use the restroom, and it worked. The extravagance of the moment gave me more strength. My statement was that I was going to fight to the last drop of my blood. We're stronger than you, we have more people, we have more resources, and we're going to defeat you. But if you start to cooperate with us, you'll start to have some sleep and hot meals, said numerous times. You cooperate not, you eat not, you get remedy not. Humiliation, sexual harassment, fear, and starvation was the order of the day until around 10 p.m. Interrogators made sure that I had no clue about the time, but nobody's perfect. Their watchers always revealed it. I would be using this mistake later when they put me in dark isolation. I'm going to send you to your cell now, and tomorrow you'll experience even worse, said, after consulting with colleagues. I was happy to be relieved. I just wanted to have a break and be left alone. I was so worn out, and only God knew how I looked. But lied to me. Just organized a psychological trick to hurt me more. I was far from being relieved. The DOC, which was fully cooperating when it came to torture, sent another escort team. As soon as I reached the doorstep, I fell face down, my legs refused to carry me, and every inch in my body was conspiring against me. The guards failed to make me stand up, so they had to drag me on the tips of my toes. "Bring the motherfucker back!" shouted a celebrity among the torture squad. He was about 6 feet tall, athletically built, and was aware that he was committing heavy war crimes, and so he was ordered by his bosses to cover himself. But if there is any kind of basic justice, he will get busted through his bosses. We know their names and their ranks. When I got to know more and heard him speaking, I wondered, how could a man as smart as he was possibly accept such a degrading job, which surely is going to haunt him the rest of his life? For the sake of fairness and honesty, I must say that spoke convincingly to me, although he had no information and was completely misled. Maybe he had few choices, because many people in the army come from poor families, and that's why the army sometimes gives them the dirtiest job. I mean, theoretically, could have refused to commit crimes of war, and he might even get away with it. Later on, I discussed with some of my guards why they executed the order to stop me from praying, since it's an unlawful order. I could have refused, but my boss would have given me a shitty job or transferred me to a bad place. I know I can go to hell for what I've done to you, one of them told me.